Welcome to the Strong Enough podcast, where we share the challenges and celebrate the triumphs of people just like you. I'm your host, Claudia. Today's guest is going to talk about alcoholism and addiction. He believes the true gateway drug is trauma in our childhood. He's going to share his own experience with alcoholism and how his current treatment method has a 97% success rate. Please help me in welcoming Dr. Robb Kelly. Dr. Robb, how are you doing today?
I am doing amazing, Claudia. How are you doing?
I am doing well, and as I told you a few moments ago before we started, I love a good accent, so I'm stoked to be here. And yeah, just listen to you talk. I could do this all day.
You're not the first person to say that. And I've never yet paid for a tea in Starbucks, because when I order, somebody else always starts talking to me and pays for the tea. It's crazy. But, you kind of lose the fact that you have an accent until people remind you, which is pretty cool. So I've been here for 15 years in Texas, but I'm trying to keep that British accent because it gets me places where I shouldn't be.
You know what they say, you can always get in the places you shouldn't be if you just act like you're supposed to be there.
I always do that. We're turning up at 5-star restaurants in a pair of shorts and a t-shirt, but making sure that I, as if I own the place, I walk in. No one's ever stopped me yet. That's so true, Claudia.
I love it. Well, okay, other than an amazing accent and that you live in Texas, tell us a little bit about yourself and a little bit about your background.
Well, they call me Dr. Robb, the addiction doctor, because I specialize in addiction. I'm over in Texas. We have 5 offices around the world. We have Mallorca, we have Dallas, we have San Antonio, we have England, and we have Switzerland, where we perform. Most of our work is done online via telehealth. Been doing this for 8 years. So all of a sudden, we wasn't telehealth providers because of COVID. We've been doing this for a long time. The reason why we do this is because we get to the real person a lot more than if you was going to come in a sterile office with your best suit and smile on and put a show on for us. So we found behavioral a lot easier to get to, and therefore the mind. Wow, my background, goodness me. My quick background is a musician. I always wanted to be a musician, and I was, but not famous. And then obviously, we'll go into this later, but my homelessness made me very, very laser focused in going back to school again, because I went to Oxford University, and studying. I don't think there's anybody studies as much as I have with the addicted brain and neural pathways and neuroplasticity as I've done. And we discovered great leaps and bounds forward. Going back years and years, I grown up very poor family on what you guys would call the projects, what we call council estate. So I come from a very, very let's put it this way. I couldn't go on school trips. Mom and dad couldn't afford it. I used to walk to school with holes in my shoes and socks because my mom and dad can't afford to get me new shoes and socks, but they could afford to go to the bar every Friday and Saturday, Sunday night. So I never worked that one out myself.
Let's talk about that for a second, since you brought it up. What did that do for your self-esteem and your feelings of your parents and of a definition of love? Well,
for many years, I had a saying, well, they did the best they could, until I did some deep trauma work on myself. And then it became that wasn't good enough, because abandonment is an alcoholic or addict's biggest fear. And normal people, the average person, they don't like to be alone. We're not meant to be alone. We're meant to mix with people and communicate with people verbally, and obviously the body is willing to connect to another human being and central nervous system. So, abandoned. I was at school when I used to walk to school, very cold, feet were freezing. I used to warm them straight away, but I never really fit in school. I was known as the music side, not great at football, and always being picked last for the football team. 2 captains would come up front and each would take turns with the best players. I was always the last to be picked. So that goes back to abandonment as well. The thing I know today that I didn't know then is I'm never going to be blonde enough, tall enough, thin enough, or rich enough. That's just the way my mind is, because it will always want more and more and more. So when you're abandoned as a kid, And by the way, if anyone's listening to this who feels abandoned, who feels they're not good enough, who feels that they're never going to amount to anything, I want to apologize to you guys because somebody's put that there. You remember when we were kids, we used to hang around outside kicking a ball and you go, what do you want to be, Johnny? I want to be a fireman. What about you? I want to be an astronaut. What happened to them dreams? I'll tell you, your family and close friends kicked it out of you. We're born with $1 million minds. Stop hanging around 10-cent minds. Every single person has the chance to be the best person they can be. But my life was supposed to be leaving school, no college, can't go to college. Nobody in the family's ever been to college. Get somebody pregnant, marry them because I have to, go and work with my dad at the gas company and live in a 2-bedroom house and go to the pub every Friday, Saturday, Sunday night. That was my life planned out. But I didn't want that. I wanted more than that. And that goes to the alcoholic brain.
What got you to the point of realizing that you deserved more than that?
There was always something inside me that was embarrassed where we live. And my family used to mock me for that. But you know, when people at school, the kids just go, hey, my dad's picking us all up tonight for football. What's your address? And I would give them address on the nice houses, the privately owned houses about a mile away. And what I would do if it was meeting at 5 o'clock, I'd set off at 4:30 and walk and stand outside this address and wait for them to pick me up. And then when they dropped me off, they dropped me back at the same place. And I would nervously wave at the car, hoping they would pull away before I could open the gate, which they did most of the time. So, yeah, I always knew that I was destined for bigger things. And during my teens, I did some amazing things that the normal person doesn't do. Like I was in a band from 9 years old with my auntie and uncle. It's when I took my first drink, playing on stage in front of live audiences. One day I was nervous. My uncle gave me a beer and the whole world changed for me. So alcohol worked with me for a long, long time. And then, always being a musician, I applied for a session musician, and this is putting bass tracks down for TV and radio. And it was for Strawberry Studios in Stockport, just outside Manchester in the UK, just in case y'all are thinking of from East Texas. And then I was playing, hour tracks and getting paid a fortune for it at the age of 14 and 15. And then eventually applied to Abbey Road, because I saw a commercial or an ad in a paper. And at the tender age of 15, 16, I actually got that position against all these veteran bass players. And I've played with Elton John, David Bowie, Queen, all them great guys that I did. So I've always been one to exceed expectations.
You brought up music, and I love music. I feel like music has saved my life a few times, actually. So what was that like for you at the age of 15 to be in this place and be surrounded by these iconic individuals?
Well, it was rather weird because when I got there, and you spoiled the clause here, Claudia, because I acted as if I should be there. I remember doing that because I was good at acting. Not supposed to live here, supposed to live here. My mom taught us how to lie. If anybody calls, never give our address, give them another address because they're embarrassed where they live. So when I got there, it was just a little bit of cockiness because I was drinking by then. I'm never one to be starstruck. Like we work with major musicians, footballers, actors. Like if you know anybody that's gone into treatment, we're the guys that you've come to, from the biggest white rap star to the biggest movie star in the world. We've had something to do with that. So I've never been starstruck. So when you go in to play the game, most of the time you're playing sessions on your own. I want to put that forward. Very rarely do you play sessions with any other people, but you get to meet them all. You hang around for their sets. And me and Freddie Mercury used to sit into the long wee hours in the morning on many occasions, putting the worlds to rights. So it's pretty cool. But it's like anything in life. And I'm going to give a big lesson here because I'm old and I have this. So if anybody listens to this and you want to get your life going, remember, we never know who we are. If I compliment somebody, it's a true compliment from my heart. I never BS anybody because that could kill them if they're under false illusion. So I compliment people where I see it. And what happens is we never realize how we are. So an old friend of mine got a photograph out some years ago. It was black and white from the early days. We always used to take photographs in black and white. And there was me and him in our bodybuilding days. And we're doing like a pose like this. And he said, Rob, look at this photograph. And I looked at it and went, oh my God, look how amazing. Look, the condition we was in was phenomenal. Look how attractive we were. Oh my God. And I said, but we didn't realize that at the time. And he said, oh God, we don't. And I said, because I said, those were the days, weren't they, Rob? And I said, what if today's one of those days? Because we never realize how good we are, how amazing we are, how good looking we are, how intelligent we are. And I think, again, Claudia, going back to, you got to start acting that way, because 9 out of 10 times is going to be true. And I don't want anybody to look back in 20 years' time and go, oh my God, did you see us there? We're amazing. You're amazing today. You can do anything you want to do. Anything that's in your mind, you can hold in your hand, period. I've tried it time and time and time again. It works. But we have to start seeing that, because you're never going to look in the mirror and see the true you. I say to my patients all the time, if we could swap places for 10 minutes, all your problems would be over, because you don't see what I see. And that's the biggest crux about people, is they just don't see. The definition of insanity is not being able to see your own truth. And a lot of people live there, unfortunately. With one comment somebody might say out of jealousy, we laser focus on that one comment. And we try and live our lives thinking that we're not good enough. You are good enough. Believe me, you're good enough 1 billion times more than you think you are in your head.
Why do you think we do that? Because I am very guilty of it. I struggle with it myself, of looking at myself or giving myself negative self-talk and just not thinking I'm so great. And I am working on changing that. And I know it starts with me, but why do you think we do that to begin with?
Well, it's mostly self-sabotage and trauma. Most people ask me all the time, they go, Rob, tell me seriously, what's the gateway drug? Is it cannabis? No, it's trauma. Trauma is the gateway drug. So we have to go back to our childhood. So many people will self-sabotage because they've seen mom self-sabotage, or they've seen dad in an abusive relationship, or a drunk dad, and we think that that's our life. So as we grow up, many girls will say, I can't understand how I keep attracting the wrong person. It's like, did your dad used to beat your mom or drunk? Or, well, yeah, but there you go. Because we think that's normal, There was a girl that was snatched off the streets many years ago back in England, and 17 years old. Somebody snatched her and put her into a car, and the manhunt was crazy for the first month. Then they scaled back, never found her, Claudia. So about 9 or 10 months later, police car was following a car with a broken indicator light, signal light, and pulled him over, found a stolen screwdriver in his car. No search warrant needed back in the UK then. So then you're allowed to go to the house and look what else is stolen. They found some more stolen stuff. And then they found a big box in the corner. It was probably 12 foot wide by 4 or 5 foot tall. And they said, okay, there's some more stolen stuff. And he said, I haven't got the key. It's not mine. He broke the lock. And there was the girl that was snatched off the streets. She was beaten and bruised, but she was alive. He used to take her out every day, abuse her, feed her, rest her, and put her back in the box for 7 or 8, 9 months. I can't remember what. So when they opened the box, the girl was there. She was crying. The policewoman leant over, grabbed her arm, helped her step out the box, put the coat round her because she was cold. What's the first thing she did? I'll tell you, she got back in the box because it's the only thing she knew. And her brain was programmed. So that's what we suffer for, that we don't think we're good enough. We don't think we deserve. So we self-sabotage. Like if we could swap places right now, Claudia, and you realize how beautiful you really are and how intelligent you are and what a risk taker you are and how people look up to you and people admire you and guys want to date you, and that you have no limitations on who you are, life could take on a new meaning. And that's what I've done. Life's taken a new meaning for me. It's like, I'm amazing. I'm the best in the world at what I do. My business card says on the back, the best in capitals addictionologist in the world. And I truly believe, prove me wrong. Can't prove me wrong. But wow, what if I'm right? What if I'm right? What if you're right? What if everyone else is right? So that's why we self-sabotage. And then people around us are jealous whenever we try and, great saying, show me your friends, I'll show you your future. So the friends around you will take you to a different level. So when I first came to America, after about a year being here, the guys I was hanging with Dallas weren't really good, no ambition. And I said to them one day, hey guys, sticking out in a book. And they all went, don't be stupid, Rob. Can't write a book. You have to be an author. Can't do it. Never wrote that book, Claudia. Came to San Antonio 2 years ago. Different mindset. I said, I'm thinking of writing a book, guys. And he went, wow, we thought we had already wrote one. Oh my God, I would read that. You've got to do that. I wrote a book. So we've got to be careful of who we hang around with. Again, don't hang around with 10-cent minds or bring you down. The value of you will decrease overnight quicker than the pound. So we have to be real careful who we hang around with and get that confidence, because today is one of those days.
I'm inspired already. We're not even that far in. So let's back up a little bit. Let's talk about addiction and alcoholism. Going through that, and when did you decide enough was enough?
Well, alcoholics are born this way. And that's going to freak people out. It's going, no, it's true. Drug addicts are made. Alcoholics are born. It's a predisposition. That means it's in your family. If it's not in your family that you can trace back 3 generations, you're not alcoholic, you're a heavy drinker, or you abuse alcohol. Okay, you're not the alcoholic. Predisposition, remap neural pathways, we're born this way, and trauma and the first drink. That might be age of 9, it might be the age of 90. It makes no difference when you take the first drink. It sets off a phenomenal in your body that's a mental obsession, physical allergy that starts going. So many people think we're allergic to alcohol. That's not true. We're allergic to the ethanol in alcohol. And we hear things different from our trauma and our remap brain. So me and my brother stood on the kitchen table, for instance, and my mum walks in and she says to both of us, get down off that table, you stupid idiot. Get down. That's what my brother hears. I freeze and I'm terrified because what I've heard my mum say is, get down off that table. You stupid idiot. Get down. That's what I've heard. And people don't realize that. So the trauma that I take in is more sensitive than the normal person. And my brain is remapped to self-sabotage. So predisposition, addicts, you can be born with the addictive brain, but what happens with most addicts is they introduce to a drug, mostly in the doctor's office for pain, and then they carry on, it becomes a habit, and then it becomes an addiction. So not from the first drug do you get addicted, unless it's something like fentanyl. Not from the first drug. Starts in the doctor's office, it's done nicely and casually until all of a sudden they stop it, and then you go crazy trying to seek out other stuff. So there is a big difference between the alcoholic brain and the drug addict's brain. And then going forward, I was okay in school. There's horrendous stories that we can get into, but went through school, went to college because I always want to do best, mangled my way to get into college through the Freemasons in England, which is very secretive. I joined there at an early age because they didn't have an organist and I could play the keyboards. And I went to college, never fit in, left college, went in the police force, got fired for being drunk, still drinking every day by now. Early in the morning started, didn't think I had a problem, Claudia. And then obviously the family, the children, then finally homelessness. And 14 months on the streets, then I finally realized that I had a problem and I wanted to change my life.
What was it about the homelessness that was rock bottom for you when the other things that you just talked about were not?
I know. And that's a great question. Nobody's asked me that question. Well, when you look at the things I did, I used to leave my children in cinemas while I went for a drink. I stabbed my wife 3 times one night because she wouldn't let me finish my drink. All that crazy stuff. Didn't think I had a problem. But after you've been on the streets for a period of time, first of all, I remember the first night I was sat on a bench. It was raining in the middle of Manchester, Piccadilly Gardens, where the homeless hang out, thinking, what the hell just happened? Still not thinking I had a problem with alcohol. Okay. I was the only person in the gutter still looking down on people. And then after about 3 or 4 months, it got quite comfortable. I had a routine, mug people, beat people up, take their money, buy alcohol. If I couldn't find anybody, go and steal alcohol and just spend all my day in Piccadilly Gardens drinking myself to death. But after 14 months, I dropped down to my hands and knees and I was done. 2 or 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, I was crying. Now, I was crying from my belly. I wasn't crying the normal cry. It was the aching cry when you're just done. The crazy thing is that I wasn't crying because of all the money I had lost. I wasn't crying because I'd lost my kids, or my wife, or my houses, or my cars. I was crying because the first time in my life I realized I couldn't stop drinking, and it was right there and then. And for me, I looked up to the sky, not a religious person at all, because my choir master / priest molested me when I was a child. So I was not religious, but I did look up to the sky and I said, if there is a God up there, I can't do this on my own anymore. Next thing I knew, there's a guy walked around the corner, 2 or 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, missed his last bus home from a Bible study. So he'd been walking for an hour, finds me in the middle of nowhere, takes me back to his house, says he's going to help me, and my life took off there.
What is your feeling on religion now or since then?
I kind of look at it like this, religion are for those people who are scared to go to hell. Spirituality are for those people that have already been to hell and don't want to go back. So if you're a religious person, God bless you, you're doing the right thing. That's great. For me, I'm spiritual. I don't go to church. I don't read the Bible. I read the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous, which was kind of brought through from the King James Bible back in the old days at the Oxford Group before AA started. So I'm on a spiritual journey and have been for many, many years. And it works for me. It really does, because I sit in my big house today with my crazy expensive 6-figure cars, and I've worked with over 7,000 people, and I'm on TV and I'm on radio. I have books out there. I'm kind of a bit of a celebrity in our world, which my ego liked, by the way, but I have to keep hold of it. And I look back and I think, wow. And we earn a lot of money, but you know something? We give a lot of money away. $150,000 this year we gave back to one-parent families who are in recovery, who either want to get the child back, want to start in a little house, they want a little car to start with, clothes, food, whatever they want. We have a system with that money that pays out for people that come to us, or people we see most of all. We have a bank account set up for several people around the world that we've never met, but we send them £100 or $100 every single month. And we've been doing that for years, and they're still accepting that $100 every month, and it makes my day. So I'm not sat here in my big $1 million house going, hey, look at me. I'm looking around and going, hey, how can I help you? What do you need? You need a bus pass? Are you kidding me? We'll buy you a car if we need be. I want everybody to succeed like me. I'm not the jealous type. I'm not the guy that's trying to keep you down and go, look what I've done. I'm the guy that says to you, you can do better than me. Let me give you my experience, because I'm older than you and I have more experience how you can do this. That's what I love. Stopping at the gas station, or for those guys in the UK, petrol station, and seeing a woman trying to squeeze $2 of gas in a car, and there's 4 kids in the car, And I pull over and I walk over, and he's no idea who I am. And I fill the tank up and I give it £100 and I go and get the shopping, or stood in line at the supermarket when they're counting out, especially if they haven't got enough money. I put the stuff back in the basket. I give him $200. I say, go back and feed your kids. That's what it's about today for me.
And that is an amazing feeling. I know that as well. I did a few years ago on Leap Day, an event where I went around in Birmingham, maybe. It was a few years ago. But we just went around and did these random acts of kindness for people, buying them groceries, like you said, just finding somebody in line and buying them groceries, buying fire stations, big gift baskets of things. And that feeling is so amazing. I have to agree with you on that.
And it's so real, because when we do that, or we say thank you, or we give back, dopamine is released into our brain. And everybody likes dopamine, the good feeling, natural drug inside us. So, if we keep doing that, we're going to have great days ourselves, because you do get paid back for that. Let me tell you, in all sorts of weird ways. And, let me tell you a quick story. When my wife had enough, when I stabbed her 3 times one night because she won't let me finish drinking my bottle, I fled to Spain as I called the ambulance for her and the police. And I didn't come back for a long time until they refused to press charges. And when I came back, she had all the bags packed, and she said to me, I love you till the day I die, but you're not going to kill our kids. And she left me. I got with my attorney that night and I said, if you don't bring my kids back tomorrow, we've ceased doing business with you. He went to court early in the morning. He got some sort of paperwork, and the next day about 11 o'clock, he knocked on the door and he said, here's your kids. And he gave my kids back, ages 1 and 3. I remember taking them into the kitchen, to the main room, put the TV on and left them there. And the pride, Claudia, the accomplishment, it's like, do you know who I am? You're not going to take my kids off me. And I walked into the kitchen and a thought hit me, if I could just have one beer to celebrate, because I'm trying to stay sober now, I've got my kids. 3 days later, when the police kicked the door down, and the children not being fed for 2 days, or not being changed diapers or nappies for 2 days, Dad was drunk on the floor and made several trips to the liquor store, leaving the kids alone. The police kicked me to wake me up and served me with unfit father papers. I went to the door and I watched my 2 kids get carried away with mom, the child services, the police. And my eldest daughter, ages 3, was holding mommy's hand as she's walking down the path. And she said 3 things to me. She says, Daddy, Daddy, please don't go. After everything I just put them through, they were still loyal to me. Halfway down the path, she says, Daddy, Daddy, please get better. And as she'd reached the gate and opened the gate, she says, Daddy, Daddy, please stop drinking. And I couldn't do it. And 6 or 7 months after that, the house had gone, the kids had gone, the wife had gone, blah, 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 and I was homeless. Now, I didn't see that girl for so many years, 15 years, 16, 20. I can't even remember how long. It was a long time. But 2 years ago, I got a message off her on Facebook. And she said she wanted to see me. She'd see me on TV over in England. We jumped on the red eye, me and my wife. We opened the door, we hugged, we cried. It was such an emotional time. And she said, Dad, I want to show you something. She took me into her main room, and there was my 3-month-old granddaughter. That's payback number 1. Secondly, she wanted to go back to school and try and become an NLP practitioner. So we sent her back to school. 10 months ago to this day, she opened my Manchester office in the UK and now works with me as one of our counselors. You get paid back for this, believe me.
Well, I was going to ask you how your relationship is now with your children, but I guess you just told us how it is.
The youngest one I've never met since they took him off me. She was 1. I've tried several attempts, but her answer is that through another person is that she doesn't have a father. So maybe one day that will happen. But the relationship with my eldest daughter is absolutely amazing. In fact, we're going to spend Christmas with them this year back in England. So yeah, and my life is amazing. My relationships are amazing. And I just love in life. I really do love life today. I get up every morning and just know it's going to be a day that we've never had before, and to make the most of it, because today's one of those days. Remember the photograph? It's one of those days, guys. So yes, make the most.
How have you reconciled not having a relationship with your youngest?
Well, I had to come to terms with it by doing my own work. I went into a place called the Meadows about 4 years ago to work on my trauma, because I had like a mini breakdown while I was in full practice in Dallas. We had huge offices and was on TV there, regular TV. And I went in there. I actually broke down one day, and I went in there and I did a lot of intensive 6-week work on myself. Realized my part and the healing and the trauma from the past, and what my mom and dad didn't have my best interest at heart most of the time. They were selfish, and even though they provided, but full work on myself knows that I did that much damage to my wife, that the youngest child being brought up hating me. And my eldest daughter still can't tell mom that she works for me or sees me, because that will cause so much stuff. And I remember my wife saying to me, and it still sticks in my head today, when we did the papers for handing everything over to her, because that's what my dad told me to do before I was homeless. She said, "You've stole 12 years of my life." And that hit me. So when I look at that and the youngest, I get it. I really do get it. I won't say I deserved this because I was ill. I had an illness. We call it a disease because it's a biochemical reaction in the brain that we have no choice of, which includes the hypothalamus. So I'm not saying anything like that, but all I am saying is one day I hope it to be reunited, and I've come to peace with that.
Have you come to peace with that if that doesn't happen? Yes,
100%. 100%. God, when I say God, spiritual God, has given me a new lease of life when I met my daughter. And that's good enough for right now. And if it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. And I did a lot of work on that. And, when we're alcoholic and addicts, we have to, the consequences to our behaviors. So no, it's not my fault because I kept relapsing and drinking. I couldn't stop. In actual fact, for a full-blown alcoholic, it's virtually impossible for me to stop on my own. But secondly, not receiving treatment that I should have done to get better earlier, even though I tried treatment centers. The only problem with treatment centers is the treatment model is broken, has been for 25 years, so we don't know what we don't know.
I want to talk to you a little bit about your method of treatment because it is a little different. And kind of what you just said, the treatment model is broken. So what led you to how you do things differently and the success that you experience with people that have never been able to recover before?
Well, most people that I knew back in the day, and even today, concentrate on the alcohol. They concentrate on the symptom. So alcohol's the symptom. And I couldn't get well despite most people trying to help me. And I never understood the damage I did until I worked on myself. And I saw these people around me that were good people that fell down to alcoholism. So when I went to my doctor, he told me I was an alcoholic, and I asked him why. And he said, because you can't stop drinking. My research over the 25, 30 years I've been doing this, it's got nothing to do with, well, it's got 1% to do with alcohol because it's the symptom. It's like spots to my chicken pox. I can't have a viral infection without the spots on the outside. I can't do anything if I don't do any work without the alcohol. So when I started delving into that and doing my work, I realized, and there was a time in my past when I was drinking that something happened to me, is I was stood outside a liquor store or an off license in the UK, 5 o'clock in the morning, it's snowing. I'm in a vest, a pair of shorts and flip-flops. I'm sweating profusely. I got a banging headache. I feel sick. My body's starting to close down. I'm going to have DTs unless I get some alcohol in my body. The poor Pakistani guy, beautiful guy, opened the door early, let me in. Not supposed to serve alcohol till 10, but he knows my condition. I put my £10 on the counter. You put the bottle on the counter. As I grabbed the handle of the bottle, this was my reaction. My headache stopped, my shivers stopped, my sweating stopped, and I was in a great mood, literally in seconds. I remember looking at the bottle and looking at the shopkeeper and looking back at the bottle, and I realized it's not the alcohol. It's because I've not opened the bottle. Mm-hmm. The cap was still on. So that and a lot of other stuff made me research and found out that it's nothing to do with the alcohol. It's to do with the way I was born, my trauma, the way I want to self-sabotage. And alcohol is just there, just like getting back in the box. It's a comfort zone for me that I keep going back to because I know that nobody can touch me and I'm protected and I'm safe when I'm drinking alcohol. Even when I'm sat on the street, it takes me to a different place. And that cycle, and that I have a mental obsession that tells me that it's going to be okay this time, that I'm just going to have one beer, that I need alcohol. And as soon as I grab the alcohol and drink it, because my mind is driving me crazy, you need a drink, it'll solve everything. I drink it into my body, and this is where we differ, mental obsession. So I drink it, now my body starts to depend on the alcohol, and now I crave. So you hear people saying all the time, I've been sober for a month, but I'm still craving alcohol. That's not true. You can't crave something that's not already in your body. What we have is that mental obsession. And if we relapse on a Monday, when we pick the drink up, look back a week, that's when your relapse really was, when your mind starts playing tricks with you from the subconscious mind, but the behavioral side will give it away if you know what you're looking for.
That is very, very interesting.
And that's why we have a 97% success rate, is because we concentrate on changing mindset. Mindset is everything. Changing neural pathways, solidify them from self-sabotage to self-care neural pathways, address the central nervous system and the trauma and the behavior on the way to act properly as we move forward into life. Because over 7,000 patients, Claudia, not just a couple, 7,000, 97% of them have an amazing life today because we are different. We're a small unit. We're mostly telehealth unless you live in our towns. We have offices. We're dedicated. We're tenacious. And we don't fail because when somebody relapses on my program, I lose sleep. I take it that personally. So we kind of change your mindset, therefore behavior, therefore life.
What is the success rate of a typical or traditional program?
Between 2 and 5%. It has been for 25 years. So when you're looking at that, you realize that when you're going into a treatment center, it's really a respite for the family. Now, there are hundreds of thousands of treatment centers that we love that does this right. But when you're getting little Johnny going in back to treatment for this 4th or 5th time in the same treatment center, and they're still taking the full $30,000 a month off them, you've got to ask yourself, are they really trying to get people well, or is it just a business model for trying to get rich? And we believe the latter. We're the only company, I'm going to say this slowly, we're the only company in the world that offers a money-back guarantee if you relapse while following our program. That's how confident we are. Because I tried treatment centers. They didn't work for me. They're teaching me relapse prevention. What they're telling my brain, it's okay to relapse. Let me give you a few little tools in case you do, or a few little tools to stop you doing it. When my mind is still self-sabotaging, you're not going to stop me from drinking. You know, when my hypothalamus is telling my brain to drink alcohol instead of eat food and drink water, that's why alcoholics go days and weeks without eating or drinking water. When my brain is telling me to do that, then I'm going to do it because I think it's the right thing to do, and nobody else is going to stop me, whether I have to hurt you physically or whether I have to lose a best friend. You're not going to stop me drinking. So we have to change mindsets. The only thing with a spiritual awakening, find somebody, well, I don't believe in God. Well, there's 26,000. Just freaking pick one for the interim period until you get somewhere. They'll take you to a different place, because that's what happens. Latest findings for about 5 years, Dr. Kelly says that if you have a spiritual awakening, a psychic change of mind, your DNA changes. Why is that important? Because you're not the same guy when you come into this program as you leave. It's as simple as that.
And you said most of the work that you do is telehealth. So do you guys have any type of inpatient program?
No, we used to have ranches where we took people in, only one person at a time, you know, celebrities and stuff, so they wouldn't mix with anybody else. But, you know, we've kind of let that go and just did IOP. And we think it's working really well, because I'm a true believer that you have to recover in your own environment. You know, it's like recovery has its own language. So let's say this is a house and this is our ranch. So what happens is, because people miss out the family dynamic. So we take little Johnny. Let's say, for instance, this house speaks Japanese. We take little Johnny out. We stick him in a treatment center. Now, recovery has its own language. So let's say we teach him English. Without work with these guys to teach him English, he's going to go back into the same Japanese speaking house and speak Japanese. So that's another reason we work with the family. So while the guy's in treatment, whether it be ours or somebody else's stay, we're working on anybody over the 18 in that household. So mom and daughters. So when dad comes back home again, he's walking into a house that understands the disease, because it's a family illness and it's a family recovery as well. But they have to do their own work to make sure that everybody gets off to a good footing.
Do you find any issues with that, generally speaking? Because it seems like a lot of times family members are often codependent. So for them to help the alcoholic heal, they have to heal themselves, and that can be difficult.
The biggest myth we have when we talk to the wives, for instance, I'm not saying it's always the wives or always the men. I'm just saying, let's, for instance, a man goes into treatment. The biggest myth all comes on board with us. We take people that need to go in treatment, we're the treatment. But what we do, the wife comes on for the first time with my therapist, and she goes, okay, so let me tell you about John. No, hang on a second. This isn't about him. It's got nothing to do with him. This is about you. Why have you been enabling this for so long? Why did you watch your father go through this with your mother? Why did you, on all this stuff, and they're flabbergasted. And go, the reason why you're codependent is because you live your husband's life, and that drinking and beating you up and not paying the rent and all that, and neglecting the children and work like he does because he has no choice at the time. Why have you allowed that to go on? Because I love him. Well, why don't you love yourself for a second? Let's start working on you. So the trauma is intense. There is no difference. Listen to that, guys. And I love our service. I became an American citizen about a year ago, and I take this citizenship very seriously. But there's no difference from somebody coming home from Afghanistan with PTSD and the wife in an alcoholic house that's being smashed up every night. Nobody knows when it's going to kick off. Everyone's walking around on eggshells. The brain is the same. Thank you for everyone's service. There's no disrespect there, but I'm telling you, the brain sees it as the same. So the wife has PTSD and the children do. We enmesh our children into it as well. Oh, listen, dad's coming home. Quick, go to your bedroom. That's abandonment. That is the first sign of abandonment. Shh, don't talk what dad comes home. Let's see what mood he's coming in. That's fear. Terror. What's dad going to walk into? That will, if you don't deal with it, because that's planted a seed. The seed of trauma is planted. What we do every day when we don't deal with it, it's growing and growing and growing. Unless we go back and uncover, discover, and discard that trauma, you will die of that. It will kill you. So trauma is the gateway drug. Trauma is the killer. And then what happens is a bit like a zip file on a desktop. We stick all the stuff in there we don't want, and then one day you're bored and you click on that zip file and it all comes flowing at you straight at once, and it's too much. That's what the brain does. but we keep stuffing it down. And once we go back, if you ever see a deer hit on the side of the road and it's not dead, thank God, and it'll lay motionless for a couple of seconds, then it'll stand up, then it will shake violently for about 5 or 6 seconds, and then it runs off. That deer never suffers from that traumatic accident because it dealt with it straight away. We don't do that. And we just don't do it. We keep it in. We don't deal with it at the time. And people don't usually know what trauma is. You know, anything less than nurturing as a child is child abuse. Come on, guys. It's child abuse. Well, no, stop it. You should be nurturing your children, bringing them up properly with love and kindness. You don't, shout across the room, get off there, watch daddy's going to come home drunk, or no. While I've been sober now, while I'm looking after my children, you're supposed to be sober. Nobody gets flipping awards for this shit. You're supposed to be sober. Well, my best friend died yesterday, but at least I haven't took a drink. What? It's got nothing to do with alcohol. Your mindset should be set for success, for nurturing. You brought the child into the world. It's your responsibility to nurture that child, and anything less is not good enough. Oh, my parents did the best they can. Shut up. That's an old saying we got from our parents. People need to be accountable for today's. There's a fentanyl epidemic on right now, and everyone's closing their eyes to it. Then it starts to hit middle-class America about 5 or 6 years ago. Now we might have a problem. It's crazy. Everybody knows somebody who suffers from alcoholism or addiction. And if you don't know anybody, it's probably you who's suffering from alcoholism and addiction. I don't run a bakery. I ain't going to sugarcoat shit for nobody, because this is killing people on a daily basis. 100,000 people died this year already of overdoses and alcohol. We can't even trace the alcoholism. Mm-hmm. That's because half the time it goes down as liver failure, car crash, pan being left on at home, fell down the stairs. If you add all them to the statistic, it's probably 1 million people a year that die of this stuff. Nobody's talking about it. And the reason they're not talking about it is there's no profit in recovery. Woo, I'm powered now. I'm powered.
Dr. Robb, you are on fire today. Talk to me about treatment differences in alcoholism and addiction. If there are differences in because you said alcoholism is a sickness, whereas addiction is a little bit different in your brain. So do you treat them differently?
Well, what happens with drug addiction is it gets to the point where it presents itself the same as alcoholism. The only difference is a predisposition, so we're born this way. But no, it's treated exactly the same once it gets to a certain point. So if you're just taking drugs casually and they're legal in your state, then carry on. If you can go out for beer and get blasted on a Friday night and have a few beers on a Saturday and drink Sunday lunch and go to work on a Monday, keep doing that. It's awesome. So we have to specify that because, it's very hard for the untrained eye to spot, because there's a difference between a Friday night alcoholic and a Friday night drunk regarding the police. One needs treatment ASAP, the other needs jail for the night. And it's really important that we know the difference. And most people in the world, alcoholism is two things. It's the most misunderstood disease ever. And it's the only self-diagnosed illness in the world. 10 DUIs do not make you an alcoholic. If it's not in your family, you're a heavy drinker and you abuse alcohol. Simple as that. And once we get them two categories done and find out that you are a drug addict that's crossed the line, or you are an alcoholic that's born this way, then the treatment is exactly the same. Because remember, it's not about the drugs and alcohol. It's about me, self-sabotaging. Never good enough, never will be good enough, never achieve anything. Again, I'm sorry if you feel that way. Somebody's put that there.
Do you personally have any issue with the fact that alcohol is legal and easily obtainable in our society, whereas drugs are not as easily attainable, but the horrific effects of both are very similar?
Well, if alcohol came out today with what we know, it would be banned straight away. So there is that. For those people that drink successfully, I'm glad it's not banned. because it is an outlet. Even though alcohol is a depressant, it does bring good times to people. So, I don't really have a problem with that. Though you look at the COVID when it first came out, the alcohol statistics went up in Texas by about 43%, the sales. Suicides, marriage splits, alcoholism, they all skyrocketed. So I think if you have addiction or alcoholism in your family, then you have to be careful. And I wish it was banned for that reason, but we can't take the minority and kind of prosecute most of the people that drink successfully. And as far as drugs, and alcohol being achieved, people used to say to me at 3:00 in the morning, I said, I need a drink. Well, all the liquor stores are closed. No, I will get a drink. So it's the same with drugs. I will get, even though I don't take drugs, I will get, whatever I need whenever I want. So there's the two flips of the coin, I think.
I want to ask you quickly about the alcoholic or addicted brain, because I feel like a lot of times we see people who are in recovery and they take on a new addiction, whether that is working out or cooking or some other activity. And a lot of times it seems like it is a physical activity. Is that because the brain needs something like that to focus on, or is it just something that is often taught in treatment that you have to find something else to focus on, and that brain just takes it on with such veracity?
A bit of both, really, to be honest. I mean, when we stop drinking, we find that we spend so much time hiding the drink, getting away with it, not only drinking it, but all the stuff that goes around it. And it's exhausting, and it consumes our day. So if you're a real alcoholic that's actively drinking, you know yourself, from the second you get up to the minute you go to bed, you're planning that stuff. And if you're not planning it, you're drinking it. So it's really interesting, because with it, our research shows that the guy that's going to relapse, when the thought comes in his head, the travel to the liquor store and the drinking of the substance, the most intoxicating part of that is the travel to the liquor store or the drug dealer. So once we stop all that, we have a lot more energy and we have a lot more time on our hands. So people will turn to the gym or music or whatever else, but the addicted brain or alcoholic brain is laser focused on the stuff they're doing. We made a good job of alcohol and drugs. So when we take that away, become laser focused on the good things in life. Like if you're training every day and your kid has to make his own lunch because you're going to the gym, if you go on vacation and the first thing you do is trying to find a near gym, you have a problem. Okay, you have a problem. And that's swapping one addiction for another. But if you're going to the gym 7 days a week when the kids are in school and nobody's suffering in the family and mom's never there, then that's a healthy choice. Whether it becomes an addiction is totally up to you. You can swap addictions, but most people concentrate on family, work, and treating the children properly. And then comes the training, the music, the cycling, whatever it may be. So there is, once we recover, because I'm a recovered alcoholic, I've gained one's health and state of mind back. Once you get to that point, then a healthy balance is needed.
What do you do now to keep yourself well, to keep your mind well, your body well? What's your routine like today?
I get up in the morning and the first thing I do is the spiritual prayer that I do, make God fine today. How can I help somebody today? What can I do? I walk to the mirror. I look in the mirror face to face and I say, I love you 10 times, because I'm storing the subconscious brain, not going to feel anything from it. You're not going to feel great from it. After I did that with the subconscious brain, I look myself again in the mirror and say, today's going to be a great day. For those people out there want to try it, if you don't have a great day that day, send me an email. I'll send you $100. It's impossible. And then my wife makes me breakfast, and then we come upstairs. We have a little gym upstairs. We train, and then we go to work at around 8 or 9. And then I'm always looking to help people. I'm always available. I'm taking calls. I'm doing podcasts. I'm looking patients. And at nighttime, when I retire, I just thank my spiritual God that I was in a great place. I asked for a big audience to spread the message. And my last program was 18 million people across America. So I have a big platform that I can put to good use. Helping people will keep me of sound mind. Being of service to people, sponsoring people and stuff like that away from my work will keep me of sound mind. And I'm kind of a loner, but kind of a people person. If I walk into a room, I'm the center of attention within seconds. but I'd rather sit on the sofa downstairs with my wife watching TV. So that's what keeps me clear head. I'm not going to say soul because that's gone. The alcohol problem has been removed many years ago, but that's what keeps me sane today. I also have 3 English bulldogs, which are not only very expensive, but I also get to play them every day because we work from home office today. So we do that. We have 2 cats as well that we play with, walk in. So it's a full day for us. It really is.
That is a big animal family.
Yes,
I love that.
Animals more than people sometimes. Well,
same.
All the time, to be honest. So yeah.
Yes, I am right there with you. What is one thing that you would say to the audience? I think I might know what it is that you said a minute ago, but something that they can do every day to make their day and themselves better.
Okay, in the mirror, today's going to be a great day. Just say that in the mirror and then go out have a great day. You have a choice today. This isn't like, I wonder what today's going to be. If you get up in the morning and stub your toe and walk into the door, start your day again right there. There's no rules about this. People think there's rules. When me and my wife got married, the 3rd day we were arguing, we had an argument. And my wife said, well, that's the way marriage is supposed to be. And I said who? Who's making these freaking rules up? I don't like these rules. And that's what it's life, guys. Once you get up in the morning and say, today's going to be a great day, you get to choose that it's going to be a great day. So set your mind up. And let me tell you something, if the first thing you do is pick your iPhone up or your phone and you look at that, people are putting stuff in your head that will determine your day. And if it's the last thing you do before you go to bed is scrolling through Facebook, people are putting stuff in that for dreams. Make the first thing you do is go and look yourself in the mirror and tell yourself it's going to be a great day. And it will be a great day.
And what is the last thing you should do at night then?
Review your day. Did I upset anybody? Did I cause jealousy? Could I have done better today? And where could I have done better? And if you answer no to all them and go, no, I had a pretty good day, I did everything I could, then man, let me tell you something. Not only have you taken a step forward with your recovery, and I don't just mean alcohol and drugs, I mean depression, whatever it may be, anxiety you're going through, but life will get better and better and better if you keep doing that. Trust me, I'm a doctor.
Dr. Robb, we have to trust you because of that. What is some relationship advice that you would give to the audience?
More communication. That's the bottom line. We don't communicate as much. We take things for granted and we get complacent. So start that communication. If you sat at home now, got 10 minutes, call somebody that you've not spoke to for a while. Tell them that they're amazing at what they do. Going to work, the girl or the guy that's been doing the same job, walk over to them. You do absolutely amazing. You're beautiful, you're intelligent. It doesn't cost anything. But it will make the world a better place. Believe me. Start that communication. If somebody does something wrong, don't fester on that stuff. And then it all blow up a week later. Hey, listen, when you do this, I feel. It's a great way. An old technique from counseling years ago. When you don't do this, when you make dinner early, I feel as if you're abandoning me because you only cook for you. Bang, done. Talking about it, okay, I'll make sure I won't do that again. But as human beings, we don't do that. So communicate, guys.
Love it. So we have talked about some pretty heavy topics. I want to round out our time together with something a little bit lighter. I love tattoos. As you know, I shared with you earlier. I have on long sleeves today, so you can't really see any of my tattoos, but there's a bunch under there. I'm already planning my next tattoos. I have one scheduled for next week. By the time this airs, I will have that tattoo. But I want to ask you about your most meaningful tattoo. Tattoo.
Tattoo.
We tattoo.
You tattoo. We tattoo. You tattoo. It's got to be, I have 2.
Well, we can have both of them. Let's hear about both.
Okay, good. So the first one is, I truly believe that we can recover. So I have down my arm, I'm a recovered alcoholic, and recovered from life and everything else. So that's a really proud one. And then the other has to be my first song. I'm a musician. So that was the first bar of the first song that I wrote, which I took down and had. I have my girls' names on my back. And then me and my wife got married 6 years ago, and she has no tattoos. Oh, it's actually banned in the family. But again, make your own relationships up. Mm-hmm. So we both went, and I had J Bear, because that's what I call her, and then the date of our marriage. And she has Robb, R-O-B-B, 2 Bs, with the date of our marriage. So them are the 4 that I have, and I love every one of them.
And I appreciate the fact that once again, you are breaking the rules or telling the rules to piss off because you're not supposed to get your significant other's name tattooed on you. But who made that rule?
Exactly. Who's making all the freaking rules? I don't like him.
Right.
You know, I often I have a car it's an AMG GT Mercedes. For those guys that know, it's a very, very expensive car, and there's only 3 in Texas. You shouldn't be driving that. Said who? You're too old for that. Said who? I pull up at the lights sometimes. I've got Dr. Dre blasting over or Eminem, and the older guys are looking over in their cars going, "What? You're not supposed to be playing that music. You're supposed to be playing, some old." No, says who? I don't like him. I just make my own rules up as I go along, and it's pretty fun, actually. It really is fun. And I get to choose to work with today what programs I go on because, as they jokingly say, I'm kind of a big deal around here. It comes from a film. It's got nothing to do with a movie. It got nothing to do with me. But it is. I mean, what if today's one of those days? I don't like these rules. I just don't like them, so we change them. And it's so easy to do. And then people start to follow you and you see people mimicking you and you go, wow, this is catching on. Because I wear pink scrubs with blue shoes and a silly hat sometimes. And I'll have a blue streak across my hair sometimes. And people go, oh my God. Then I see a doctor down the road somewhere and he's got pink scrubs on with yellow bottoms and green shoes. And I'm like, oh yeah, when I saw him 12 months ago, he was a stiff. Now he's living life the way he should live life.
Dr. Robb, you are amazing. Where can people find you if they want to know more about you, learn about the programs you offer, come visit you in Texas, pet the bulldogs? Where can people find you?
So a couple of things I want to say. First of all, I spell my name with 2 B's. So ROBBKELLY.com is the website. Just put Dr. Robb Kelly in any search engine, you'll come up. But listen, if you're at home now and you're in that place, and if you're not in that place, you have no idea what I'm talking about. If you are, you know what I'm talking about. Listen, I would rather give you a 5 or 10 minute pep talk on the phone than have to go to your funeral. So people think I'm crazy. Here's my personal cell phone number. It's not my assistant. It's not reception. It's my personal cell phone number. Give me a call, 214-600-0210. If you're struggling, text me first in case I'm busy. And I'll text and call you straight back because we're in this together. So although I'm pretty famous at what I do, kind of a celebrity, my feet are always in the trenches. So I ain't going anywhere. I'm just a kid that was brought up on the council estate or the projects. I'm always going to be here. And if I can help you in any way, you call me. 10 minutes are all yours, free of charge, just for you to get you in a better place.
You are the second person that has given out your phone number on this podcast. I am in awe of that. So thank you for being so real and so accessible. And it's apparent that you truly do care about people.
Yes, I really do. Relationships are very important. And again, I pick and choose what relationships I have today. I don't hang around with the fools. I don't hang around with people that waste my time. I hang around people that lift me up. That's where you're supposed to be. If you're on 40 grand a year and want to earn 60, hang around the guys that earn 60. Show me your friends, I'll show you your future. And I expect a text off you, Claudia, as well. We're going to become BFFs over the next few months.
Yes, we are. I'll even come to Texas to visit you.
There you go. We'll even pay for your travel. How's that?
Right on. Dr. Robb, thank you so much for your time today. You have been truly amazing. I believe you said it earlier. This was going to be the best podcast yet, and I do believe that you delivered.
Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure, Claudia. Thank you for having me on. And guys, remember, today is going to be a great day.
I really hope you guys enjoyed my conversation with Dr. Robb as much as I did. I really appreciate his passion and his energy, and I plan to start tomorrow by looking in the mirror and telling myself today is going to be a great day. So remember, until next week, you are strong enough and you are worth it. Thank you for listening to the Strong Enough podcast. You can find us on your favorite podcast platform by searching Strong Enough. And on YouTube, we're available on the Spear Talk channel. If you have suggestions for an upcoming episode or a future guest, please reach out at strongenoughpod@gmail.com. Remember, you are worth it.